Welcome back to Shul.com. We are reading from the book Enlighten Our Eyes. It's a book on Sheminat Einayim. We're on page 78. One more lap. Many wonder, why are we today faced with such horrific impurity to a degree unknown before modern technology? Before we continue, Jordan Peterson stated this. He stated that today, with technology, a person can probably see more women dressed improperly in a matter of 10 minutes than his grandfather saw in his entire lifetime. Goes to show you that how bad the technology is good, but how bad it's being used for these things. Confusing as it all seems, we know that whatever emanates from our loving Father is only beneficial. There must be a reason why Hashem allowed this development. Why would Hashem allow the internet and this to progress if such negativity comes from it? Think for a moment about how a budding young boxer would go about building up his arm muscles. Not overnight, but gradually he would train himself to lift successively heavier sets of weights. As his strength increases, he faces and defeats ever more challenging opponents. Interesting. But by dint of Hashem's testing us with Tum'ah, our Kedusha muscles grow larger and stronger in order for us to reach great levels of Kedusha. We must successively and successively overcome more difficult challenges. So just like lifting weights, these tests on Kedusha are to strengthen our muscles. So it has always been. When Bnei Israel were in Mitzrayim, they sank to the 49th level of impurity of the culture that surrounded them. When they left Mitzrayim, they cleansed themselves from these 49 levels of Tumah in 49 days, every day going up another level, thereby attaining the 49th level of Kedusha. They were neither exposed to the 50th level, an absolute low of impurity, nor were they expected to withstand it. The Or HaChaim in Shemot 3-8 explains that since this was prior to Matan Torah, they could have not coped with the 50th level of Tumah. Therefore, correspondingly, they could not rise to attain the 50th degree of the zenith of Kedusha, meaning they were on the 49th level of Tum'ah, so they were able to get out to the 49th level of Kedusha. Now, at the climax of our history, ushering the Mashiach in our era, Hashem wants to present us with the full force of 50 levels of Kedusha. We are therefore witness today to an entirely new ball game. Permission has been granted to the citizens of the lower worlds to thrust a final fling of the 50th level of Peritzut, full force into our faces. After Matan Torah, with the Torah as our arsenal, we are able to tackle every last bit of the fight until we vanquish the reign of evil. With our souls fortified with Torah, we are capable of reaching and receiving the zenith of Kedusha. Now, we're on the last lap of our journey, amidst the ever-quickening pace of Ikveta de Meshicha. We hear an unprecedented note of urgency, because whoever lets themselves be swayed, even if they survived and succeeded in climbing up the previous rungs, will be caught and trapped by the 50th degree of impurity. But whoever is determined to combat the mighty pull of the dragnet is thereby hacking down the imprisoning walls of Tum'ah and developing great stamina in the process. This continues until the moment when our spirituality, powerful arms, will pry open the gates of Mashiach to arrive amidst the full 50 degrees of our hard-earned Kedusha. So I remember asking Rabbi Mansur this question, that if today we're on a much lower level and you go below the level of the 50th level of Tum'ah, then how are we able to get out? If they were not able to get out of Mitzrayim, how do we able to do it here? The reason why we're able to get out of it is today we have the Torah. And with the Torah and with the guidelines, we can reach a higher level than even Dor De'ah, even those that actually left Mitzrayim and received the Torah. Page 82, Chapter 2, Confronting Challenges Along the Way, Part 1. Illusion and Confusion. To help keep our adrenaline levels up when our momentum threatens to run out, it's worthwhile knowing the following points. Stolen waters taste sweet. Maim genuvim yimtaku. Rav Avigdor Miller Zatzal explains the reason of the sweetness. Why is it so sweet? Because it's not yours. There's a special ta'am that it gets to something when you steal it and you enjoy it. When a glass of that glistening, sparkling water is handed to you and is honestly yours, suddenly the magic is gone and it's quite tasteless. Much of the longing to gaze is simply because it is forbidden. So Rav Avigdor Miller is saying is the reason why you enjoy looking at the wrong things, at improperly dressed women, is because it's not allowed. Interesting. Sin entices with false fantasies, but with the awareness that it's a customized nisayon made for one to overcome and thereby earning vast reward for eternity, the infatuation, like a helium-filled balloon, will soon deflate and drop down to the ground. The moment that you know that God is testing you with a custom-made test just for you and for the things that interest you in your eyes, suddenly you start to become a little bit more clever, because now you know that that's the Satan, that's God's creation, that's testing you with a custom-made test. And so you know that what's going to come is something of pleasure to you, but overcoming it has a tremendous amount of beracha and blessing for it. Let's take a look what he writes here. This Satan inflates the desires too. How so? The Kadmonim write that lust is from the Yesod Hamayim, that the lust that a person has is like from the water, the Yesod of what Mayim is, the water element of creation. Water has the property to distort the appearance of things. Sometimes what you see in the water is not the way you see it outside the water. The Satan makes a savvy imposter who offers no apologies for his theatrical deceptions. More than simply exaggerating, Satan can craft a complete illusion. So the Satan can not only exaggerate, he actually makes a full illusion for the sake of a test, writes the Maharsha, like is brought down in Sanhedrin 100b. The Satan can give grace and beauty to an otherwise unattractive woman. That's funny. That really the lady's ugly. There's nothing about her that's pretty. But suddenly she has an attraction in your eyes for a few moments for you to look at her. But if you were to spend more time and fully grasp the individual that's there, she's really not attractive. But the Satan's playing with you. He loves to play that game. He tells you, don't worry, it's attractive. And you already know it's not attractive. You already, for whatever reason, you might know it's not attractive. And he tests you, and he plays that game with you constantly. But if we are wise, we subtract all that glitter, and suddenly he is unmasked. The smoke screen clears, and gone is the appeal of the unreal. Who am I? Secrecy and ambiguity. What is your name? Yaakov Avinu asked Esav's guardian angel, Ma shemecha? And the angel says, why do you ask? Lama tish'al lishmi? Came the immediate reply. A very simple question. The guy sat and beat up Yaakov all night. Yaakov finally got him in a chokehold. He saved himself. He tells him, what's your name? And by the way, who are you? Why couldn't the angel answer such a straightforward question? Because that's part and parcel of his very essence, to elude us. So what we were finding out, that angel was the Samech Mem. It was the angel of Esav Harasha. And why didn't he give him the name? It's because he's trying to hide himself all the time. He's trying to elude us. That slippery, scheming Satan, how shall we pin down his essence? How do we track an assailant who blurs all his outlines so that he doesn't register on our radar? We have some vague misgivings and niggling suspicions that he's hatching something dark but true to form. He won't be leaving his calling card on our desk. He prefers when his victims are oblivious to his true colors and not quite sure when they are under attack. He can whip up a whirl of doubts which leave us uncertain of the forces at work. Since he thrives on secrecy and doubt, often we're not fully aware that the Yetzer Hara is leading us astray. That's his tactic. His tactic is to make you believe he's good. That's why the best example I ever got of who Esav Harasha was, or who the Samech Mem was Lehavdil. He would be dressed like the most religious person that you think of. You think of the chief rabbi. You think of the most religious person. That's how the Satan dresses up. He doesn't dress up like a gangster wearing a white tank top with tattoos on his arm and with a mushroom haircut or a mohawk. He's not doing that, because then you would identify him as being the Satan. He dresses up like the most religious guy. He's the Sadiq. He looks like a righteous person, but he's a Kasil. He's tricking you on it. In that case, suggests Rav Moshe Soloveitchik Zatzal of Zurich, as soon as we get an inkling that something's brewing, we should pull away the Satan's mask by articulating, "Here comes trouble," and there is no doubt it's absolutely forbidden. The moment that you know that it's Satan playing, you know what he's coming up to. These few words work wonders and will help us remain the undisputed master of our better judgment. Because he chooses to remain obscure, in all likelihood he'll flee as soon as we announce his arrival. There's a funny story, actually. It was one time I was home, and we were home Friday night, and we came home. I don't know what happened. Some of the kids at home were fighting or arguing. I don't remember exactly the detail. And we got the Shabbat table. Some of the kids weren't there, some were there, and everyone started fighting. The kids started fighting with each other. And my dad was watching all this, and my dad saw, we were kids. I don't know, we were all elementary school, 5 kids at home, and just arguing with each other. I don't know, maybe I was beating up my brother, or he was beating me up. I don't know. It was the WWF on Friday night at our house at that time. That's all I could say. Or today, WWE. It was just going nuts. My dad got up from the table. I couldn't believe this. He went to the door. He opens the front door and he says, "Satan, get out." He says, "Leave." And he tells Satan to leave. He says, "I command you to leave." Suddenly we all froze up. We saw that, we're like, what's going on here? I never saw my dad do this ever again. And literally, 1 second later, we just sat on the table, we ate, and it was a regular Shabbat meal. We never argued again that Friday night, and just disappeared. It's as if he told the Satan, "Get out." And he left. It was unbelievable. It goes to show you that you have the ability to talk to the Satan. You can actually tell him to leave. You have that power, and he has to listen for some reason. So that was an unbelievable sigula that works. These few words work wonders and will help us remain the undisputed master of our better judgment. After that abrupt warning, drop the subject. Too much effort to disconnect can have a negative effect. Be alert. The less these issues play on our conscious mind, the better. And it's best to slam him as soon as we can, preferring his assault to go unnoticed. He doesn't usually pounce us with a full force temptation. He starts in a small way, but then with every passing moment of our considering the forbidden, the temptation gathers momentum. Forewarned is forearmed. By dismissing the temptation at its onset, before it's gained much thrust, we are beating him at his own game. With Sheminat Einayim as an enterprise, what day-to-day effects are we about to trigger, and what kind of benefits will we enjoy? Lots of them, and quite quickly too. Carefully guarded eyes are ready and fit to be enlightened by the Torah. Clues to this are found in the wording of our tefillot. We tell Hashem, enlighten our eyes in your Torah. Interesting. The book's called Enlighten Our Eyes. Light up our eyes with your Torah. We are asked daily before Shema in Shacharit. Also in Tehillim 119-18, David HaMelech begs, Gal enai ve'abita niflot metoratecha. So what's V'ha'ed enenu betoratecha and Gal enai ve'abita niflot metoratecha? That we are praying that Hashem should enlighten our eyes and protect our eyes. Unveil my eyes that I may perceive wonders from your Torah. It's so much more meaningful when we implore Hashem to light up our eyes while we ourselves keep them under control. Now, if we control our eyes and we ask Hashem to enlighten our eyes, He will do it for us. As we break free from the grip of the Yetzer Hara, our script changes. We function more independently, and it becomes second nature to refrain from viewing the vulgar. Soon we will feel altogether calmer, less distracted, and more focused as the Kedusha side of our personality is activated in our day, our thinking, and our emotions. Rav M.Y. Lefkowitz Zatzal tells how Shemirat Einayim induces calmness and serenity. So, here's another interesting sigula, that if a person is nervous, how he can become calm. By shielding one's eyes from the competing outside distractions, walls are erected around one's very own space, the mental space, I might add. Within its tranquil confines, there lies the yearn for peace of mind. It's a win-win situation, bringing inner balance and tranquility. Looking at the forbidden prevents enthusiasm for mitzvot from warming one's heart, warns Rav Matityahu Solomon. After being aroused to to improve our purity of sight and thought, we need to be alert. Shemirat Enayim challenges, do not take any holidays. Meaning, when a person goes on Shemirat Enayim, he's got to stick to it. It's a full-fledged, long-term commitment that gives him this blessing. It can be all too easy to let our standards slip, but we cannot afford to give our vigilance a break. Being inconsistent makes the struggle so much harder when we take up the flight anew. Chazal's words, it's as fragile as fine crystal. Wow, very interesting. Could well be applied to the midah of Shemirat Enayim. And with that, we end today's learning. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.